On the harsh mining planet called Zeta Prime, the red sun burned down on rows of metal buildings where human slaves lived. The air tasted like metal and dust. Two young women from Korea worked in the dark tunnels every day, digging rocks for their alien masters. Mina was 22 years old with short black hair that was always covered in dust. She had been captured from her home in Seoul 3 years ago. Next to her worked Hana, who was 24 and came from a small farming village. Both women remembered the green fields and flower gardens of Earth, but now they only saw gray rocks and red dirt. Every morning, the tall gray aliens called Vorthak would wake the humans before sunrise. The aliens had 4 arms and yellow eyes that glowed in the dark. They carried electric sticks that hurt when they touched human skin. Commander Rax was the worst of them all. He was bigger than the other aliens and had sharp teeth that he showed when he smiled. One evening after work, Mina reached into her torn shirt and pulled out something small. It was wrapped in a piece of cloth that she had hidden for months. Inside were 3 tiny seeds from Earth, daisy seeds that her mother had given her before the aliens took her away. "What are you doing?" whispered Hana as she watched Mina dig a small hole behind their sleeping building. "I want to plant these," Mina said quietly. "I want to see something from home grow here." Hana looked around to make sure no aliens were watching. The ground here kills earth plants, everyone knows that. But Mina did not listen. She put the seeds in the ground and covered them with the strange red soil. She poured a little water from her drinking cup on the spot. "Maybe they will grow anyway," she said with hope in her voice. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. Mina checked the spot every day, but only red dirt looked back at her. Hana thought her friend was wasting time, but she did not say so because she could see how much it meant to Mina. Then one morning, something green pushed through the red ground. It was so small that Mina almost missed it. She called Hana over, and both women stared at the tiny green leaf with wonder. "It's alive," Hana whispered. She had never seen anything from Earth grow on this terrible planet. More days passed and the plant grew bigger. Other human slaves began to notice. An old man named Kim, who used to be a teacher, came to look. A young man named Park, who worked in the metal shop, also stopped by. Soon 5 or 6 humans would gather around the tiny plant each evening after work. "It looks like the flowers my grandmother grew," said a woman named Lee, who had been a slave for 5 years. The plant was not just staying alive, it was getting stronger. Its leaves were bright green, brighter than any plant they remembered, from Earth. The stem grew thick and tall. After 3 weeks, a small white flower opened at the top, but their happiness did not last long. Commander Rax found their secret garden while doing his evening walk around the slave buildings. His yellow eyes got very bright when he saw the humans gathered around the small flower. "What is this?" he asked in his rough voice that sounded like rocks grinding together. The humans stepped back in fear, but Mina stayed close to her plant. "It is just a flower from our home world," she said in a small voice. Commander Rax laughed, and the sound was like metal scraping metal. "A flower? You waste precious water on this useless thing?" he called to other aliens who were nearby. "Come see how stupid these humans are." Soon, 6 Vorthak aliens stood around the little garden. They pointed at the flower and made harsh laughing sounds. "Look at them care for a worthless weed," said one alien. "No wonder we captured their whole planet so easily." Another alien kicked dirt at the flower. "They cry over colored petals while real work waits to be done. Pathetic creatures." Commander Rax stepped closer to Mina. "Tomorrow you will destroy this plant and work extra hours in the mines. If I find you wasting time on flowers again, you will be punished." But as the aliens walked away, still laughing, something strange happened. Other humans who had been watching from far away began to move closer. They had seen Mina stand up to the aliens, even just a little bit. They had seen an earth flower grow in impossible soil. That night, when the aliens were asleep, more people came to see the daisy. They touched its petals gently and smelled its sweet scent that reminded them of home. An old woman named Cho began to cry because it looked like flowers from her mother's garden. "How did it grow here?" asked Park. "The soil is poison to earth plants." No one had an answer, but they all felt something they had not felt in years. They felt hope. In the darkness of the alien world, surrounded by metal and rock and cruelty, a small white flower from Earth had found a way to live and grow. As they went back to their beds, each person carried something new inside their heart. Tomorrow would bring more hard work and more alien cruelty, but tonight they had seen that life from Earth could survive anywhere, even here. 3 weeks after Commander Rax had threatened to destroy the flower, something amazing was happening. The small daisy plant had grown into something no one expected. It was now as tall as Mina's waist, with 5 big white flowers that glowed softly in the dark. The leaves were so green they almost hurt to look at, and the stem was thick like a small tree. Mina could not believe her eyes when she saw it each morning. "This is not normal," she whispered to Hana as they knelt beside the plant before work. "Daisies on Earth never grow this big." Hana touched one of the large petals carefully. It felt warm, like it had its own heat inside. "Maybe the alien sun makes it stronger," she said, but her voice showed she did not really believe this. More strange things were happening too. The red dirt around the flower was changing color. It was becoming brown, like earth soil. Small bugs that lived in the ground were coming to the flowers, even though earth bugs had never been seen on this planet before. The air around the plant smelled sweet and clean, not like the bitter metal taste that filled the rest of the mining camp. Every evening after work, more humans came to see the impossible garden. Kim, the old teacher, brought his friend June, who used to fix cars on Earth. A quiet woman named Soon joined them, along with her teenage son Min, who had been captured with her 2 years ago. Even some humans from other work groups began to sneak over during their rest time. "I had flowers like this in my yard in Busan," said Soon, staring at the giant daisies, "but they were tiny compared to these." Young Min reached out to touch a flower, then pulled his hand back. "What if it bites me?" Kim laughed softly. "Flowers do not bite, boy. But these are special flowers. They are fighting to stay alive in a place that should kill them." The humans began to notice other changes too. In the area around the flowers, they could breathe easier. Their coughs from the dusty air were not as bad when they stood near the plants. Some people said their skin felt better after touching the flower petals. But the aliens were getting angry about the growing crowds around the plant. Commander Rax brought other Vorthak officers to mock the humans every few days. "Look at the earth creatures worship their colored weeds," he would say with his metal-scraping laugh. "They gather around plants like primitive animals." Captain Zor, who was second in command, enjoyed the jokes too. On their home planet, they probably danced around flowers all day instead of doing real work. That is why we beat them so easily in the war. The aliens thought the flower gathering was proof that humans were weak and stupid. They did not see what the humans were really doing. While the aliens laughed and pointed, the humans were quietly talking about other things. They shared memories of Earth and stories of their families. They planned small ways to help each other during the hard work days. One evening, Mina made a big decision. She had been saving water from her daily cup for weeks, drinking less so she could water the plant. Now she reached into her pocket and pulled out 2 more seeds that she had hidden since the day she was captured. "I want to plant these too," she told the group of humans around her. "The aliens will be very angry if they see more flowers," warned June, but Hana surprised everyone by pulling out a small seed of her own. "I have been saving this sunflower seed for 3 years," she said. "I think it is time to plant it." Soon other people began to admit they had seeds too. Kim had apple seeds. Min had kept a bean from his last meal on Earth. Soon had seeds from vegetables her grandmother grew. For years they had hidden these tiny pieces of home, too scared to plant them. That night when the aliens were sleeping, 7 humans planted seeds in different spots around the camp. They dug small holes behind buildings next to water pipes, and in corners where the alien guards did not usually walk. Commander Rax noticed the new plants after a week. His yellow eyes got very bright with anger when he saw tiny green shoots coming up in 5 different places. "What is this?" he shouted at the humans during morning work time. "I told you to stop this flower foolishness." But instead of being scared, something different happened. Mina stepped forward with her head up. "The plants help us remember our home," she said in a stronger voice than before. They make the air cleaner for everyone. Other humans nodded and moved closer to Mina. For the first time since being captured, they were standing together instead of alone. Commander Rax raised his electric stick, but Captain Zor stopped him. "Let them keep their useless plants," Zor said with a mean smile. "It proves how weak and simple they are. Plants cannot help them escape or fight back. Let them waste their time on flowers while we get rich from their mining work." The aliens walked away laughing, but they had made a big mistake. They thought the flowers made humans weak, but the opposite was happening. Each new plant that grew was making the humans stronger and more hopeful. And hope, as the aliens would soon learn, was a very dangerous thing for slaves to have. 2 months had passed since the first daisy bloomed, and now something incredible was spreading across the mining camps. What started as one small flower had become dozens of plants growing in secret places all around the alien base. But the most amazing discovery came from Dr. Wan, a scientist who had been forced to work in the alien research building. Dr. Wan was 45 years old and had studied plants on Earth before the invasion. The aliens made him test their new mining chemicals, but he was also secretly watching what happened to the Earth flowers. What he found made his hands shake with excitement. "The plants are not just growing," he whispered to Mina and Hana one evening behind the water storage tanks. "They are changing the ground itself. Look at this." He showed them a handful of dirt from around the sunflower that Hana had planted. This soil used to be poison to Earth life. Now it is almost like garden soil from home. Mina touched the dark, brown dirt. It felt soft and rich, nothing like the hard red dust that covered most of the planet. "How is this possible?" "The flower roots are eating the bad chemicals in the ground," Dr. Wan explained. "They are cleaning the soil and making it safe. But that is not all. They are also making more oxygen than any earth plant should be able to make. The air around each garden is becoming easier to breathe." This news traveled quickly through the slave camps. Humans who had been coughing from the bad air for years found they could breathe better near the flowers. People with sick skin got better after touching the plant leaves. The aliens thought the flowers were just pretty decorations, but they were actually healing machines. The secret spread to other mining camps too. A young man named Tay worked as a message runner between different slave groups. His job was to carry orders from alien commanders, but he also carried something else, now flower seeds hidden in his shoes and pockets. "Plant these behind your sleeping buildings," he would whisper to trusted humans in other camps. "Hide them from the aliens, but let them grow." Soon, 13 different mining camps had secret gardens. Each group of humans learned to care for their plants and share what they discovered. The old woman Cho found that rose petals could be made into medicine for stomach pain. A man named Day learned that sunflower leaves could be eaten when food was scarce. But the most important discovery came from 15-year-old Yuri, who was small enough to crawl through the air pipes that connected different buildings. While fixing a broken pipe, she found something that made her heart race with excitement. The flower roots were not just growing down into the ground. They were growing along the underground pipes and cables that powered the alien base. Thin, white roots were wrapped around power lines and water pipes, following them like roads through the earth. "The plants are talking to each other," Yuri told the others in amazement. "The roots from our flowers have connected with roots from flowers in other camps. They are all joined together under the ground." This meant that all the earth plants across the planet were now part of one giant network. What happened to plants in one camp could affect plants everywhere else. When humans in Camp 7 discovered that singing to their flowers made them grow faster, flowers in all other camps began growing faster too. The aliens remained completely blind to what was happening. Commander Rax and Captain Zor still visited the gardens to laugh at the humans. "Look at these simple creatures," Rax would say to visiting alien officials. "They waste time caring for colorful weeds while we harvest valuable minerals from their planet." The alien leaders from other worlds came to see the amusing human flower obsession. They thought it was entertaining that the slaves cared more about plants than escape plans. One alien general even said, "These earth creatures are too emotional and weak to ever cause us trouble. Let them play with their flowers while we build our empire." But while the aliens laughed, The humans were building something much more powerful than the aliens realized. The flower network was not just connecting plants. It was connecting people. Humans who had never spoken to each other before now worked together to care for the gardens. They shared food, helped sick friends, and planned ways to make life better for everyone. Dr. Wan made careful notes about everything he observed, hiding his research papers inside hollowed-out books. Tay created a map showing which camps had flowers and how the root networks connected them. Grandmother Nuri taught other women how to use flower petals for healing. The most important change was in the humans themselves. Before the flowers, they had been afraid, hungry, and hopeless. They worked hard all day and slept in fear at night. But now they had something to care for and protect. They had beauty in their lives again. They had hope. Every evening, small groups gathered around their hidden gardens. They shared stories of Earth, talked about their families, and made quiet plans for the future. The aliens thought they were just looking at pretty flowers, but they were actually building the foundation for something that would change everything. The Earth plants were preparing the ground for more than just new flowers. They were preparing it for freedom. The day of the Great Harvest Festival had arrived. This was the most important celebration for the Vorthak aliens, when they honored their conquest of 27 different worlds, including Earth. All the alien commanders gathered in the main ceremonial hall to drink strong alien wine and tell stories of their victories. Commander Rax wore his finest purple uniform with gold medals showing how many humans he had captured. Captain Zor brought out ancient weapons from the Earth invasion to display on the walls. The alien guards were given extra food and told they could rest from their usual duties. For one day, the mining camps would be watched by only a few sleepy guards. But the humans knew this day was coming. For weeks they had been preparing in secret. Dr. Wan had discovered something amazing about the flower network underground. The plant roots had grown so thick and strong that they were now wrapped around the main power cables that ran beneath the alien base. More importantly, the roots had started to eat through the metal pipes that brought fresh air to the alien buildings. The plants are ready, Dr. Wan whispered to Mina during the morning work shift. Tonight, when the aliens are celebrating, we can use the flower network to shut down their power and air systems. Mina nodded and passed the message to Hana, who told Kim, who told Soon. The word spread through all the human workers like water flowing downhill. Tonight was the night they had been waiting for. When the sun went down, and the alien celebration began, the humans started their own plan. Tay ran between the different camps carrying final messages. Remember, he whispered to each group, when you see the first flowers glow bright, that is the signal to begin. In Camp 7, old Kim gathered 20 humans around their secret rose garden. In Camp 12, young Min led his group to their hidden sunflower patch. Across all 13 camps, humans waited in the darkness near their earth flowers, holding tools they had stolen from the mining equipment. At exactly midnight, something magical happened. All the earth flowers across the planet began to glow with soft white light. The daisies, roses, sunflowers, and vegetable plants all shone like small stars in the darkness. This was not normal for earth plants, but these were no longer normal earth plants. They had become something new and powerful. The glowing was the signal everyone had waited for. In the main camp, Mina touched her hand to the largest daisy flower. She felt warmth flow through her fingers and into the plant. The daisy glowed brighter, and somewhere deep underground, its roots began to squeeze the alien power cables. All across the mining planet, lights in alien buildings started to flicker and go out. Air systems that kept the aliens comfortable began to fail. Emergency alarms started ringing, but the aliens were too drunk from their celebration to understand what was happening. "What is this?" Commander Rax shouted as the lights in the ceremonial hall went dark. "Fix the power systems immediately." But when alien technicians ran to check the underground power stations, they found something impossible. Thick white roots had grown through solid metal pipes and wrapped around every important cable and wire. The roots were squeezing so hard that they were crushing the power lines like fingers squeezing a tube. At the same time, humans in all 13 camps began their attack. They used mining tools as weapons, and moved through the dark hallways while the aliens stumbled around without light. The flower network had done more than just cut the power. It had made the air cleaner and easier for humans to breathe while making it harder for the aliens. Hana led a group of humans to take control of the communication center. Dr. Wan and his team captured the medical building where alien officers kept their healing machines. Young Yuri, who was small and fast, crawled through the air pipes to unlock doors for other human fighters. The aliens tried to fight back, but they were confused and scared. Their electric weapons would not work without power. Their breathing masks did not help because the flower roots had changed the air itself. Many aliens became sick and weak while the humans grew stronger. Commander Rax gathered his remaining guards in the main building and tried to call for help from other alien worlds. But the communication systems were dead too. The flower roots had found and crushed those cables as well. "This is impossible," Rax screamed into his broken radio. "Plants cannot fight wars. Flowers cannot destroy technology." But Mina was standing in the doorway now, no longer wearing the gray clothes of a slave. She had found an alien officer's uniform and wore it with pride. Behind her stood 50 other humans, all carrying alien weapons they had taken from the storage rooms. "You were wrong about our flowers," Mina said in a calm, strong voice. "You thought they made us weak. But they made us strong. They connected us. They cleaned our world. And now they have given us the power to take our freedom." The Great Rebellion had begun, and it bloomed from the roots of earth flowers that the aliens had mocked as useless decorations. What the Vorthak thought was human weakness had become their own defeat. 6 months after the Great Rebellion, the mining planet looked like a completely different world. Where once there had been gray metal buildings and red dust, now there were green gardens and clean rivers. The earth flowers had spread everywhere, transforming the harsh alien world into something beautiful and alive. Mina stood on the hill where the first daisy had grown, looking down at what used to be the main alien base. Now it was a human town called New Hope, with houses made from the old mining equipment and streets lined with flowering trees. Children who had been born as slaves now ran freely through gardens full of roses, sunflowers, and vegetables from Earth. "I never thought I would see anything like this," said Hana as she joined Mina on the hill. She was now the leader of the Agricultural Council, teaching other humans how to grow food and flowers. Our little flower garden became all of this. Below them, hundreds of humans worked in the fields and workshops. Dr. Wan had built a research center where he studied how the earth plants continued to change and improve the planet. Tay ran a school where children learned about both Earth history and their new world. Even old Kim, now 72 years old, taught young people how to care for the special hybrid plants that grew nowhere else in the galaxy. The most amazing change was in the Vorthak aliens themselves. After losing the war, many of them had expected to be killed or enslaved as they had done to humans. Instead, the human leaders decided to show them something the aliens had never understood: mercy. Commander Rax now lived in a small house near the edge of New Hope. He was no longer a commander, if anything, just an old alien who tended a small garden behind his home. The humans had given him earth flower seeds to plant, and to his surprise, he found that caring for growing things was much more satisfying than destroying them. "I do not understand," Rax said to Mina one day when she visited his garden. His voice was softer now, not the harsh metal sound from before. "We defeated your armies, we captured your people, we mocked your flowers. Why do you not hate us?" Mina knelt down and helped him water the small daisies that were growing in his garden. These flowers were different from the ones on Earth or even the giant ones from the rebellion. They were blue and silver, a new type that had never existed before the two worlds came together. "Hate is like poison in the ground," Mina explained patiently. "It kills everything around it. But love and forgiveness are like good soil. They help new things grow." The changes were not just on this one planet. Word of the successful rebellion had spread to other worlds where humans were still slaves. Ships carrying earth flower seeds traveled to dozens of planets, and soon other human communities were growing their own gardens of freedom. Captain Zor, who had once laughed at human weakness, now worked as a translator helping humans and aliens learn to communicate better. He had seen how the flower network connected not just plants but also people, and he wanted to understand this power that his species had missed. We thought strength meant having the biggest weapons and the most fear, Zor explained to a group of young humans and aliens who were learning to work together. But you showed us that real strength comes from helping each other grow. The hybrid plants continued to amaze everyone. Scientists from friendly alien species came to study how Earth, plants and alien soil had combined to create something completely new. The flowers now glowed softly at night, providing natural light for the towns. The vegetables grew larger and more nutritious than anything from Earth. Trees produced fruits that tasted like combinations of Earth and alien flavors. But the most important discovery was that the plant network had become something like a living computer. The connected roots could carry messages between different planets faster than any alien technology. Humans on distant worlds could communicate through their flower gardens, sharing knowledge and staying connected across the galaxy. Young Min, who was now 21, had become an expert in this plant communication system. The flowers are not just growing, he explained to visitors from other worlds. They are learning. Each generation becomes smarter and more helpful. Dr. One had grown old during the 6 months of transformation, but his eyes still sparkled with wonder when he talked about his research. We thought we were just planting flowers to remember home, he said to Mina as they walked through the central garden. But we were actually planting the seeds of a new kind of civilization. As the sun set over New Hope, families gathered in the central square for the evening meal. Human children played with young aliens who had been born after the rebellion. Former slaves and former masters worked together in the gardens, building something that neither species could have created alone. Mina touched the original daisy plant, which still grew in the place where everything had started. It was now enormous, with roots that connected to plants across the galaxy, and flowers that bloomed in colors that had no names. "Thank you," she whispered to the flower. "Thank you for showing us that even the smallest seed can change everything." The flower glowed softly in response, and somewhere across the stars, other flowers glowed back in answer. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.